The episode opens with Goku, Bulma, and Oolong riding through the desert on their way to the last Dragon Ball. Preparing for the final leg of their adventure, Bulma finally reveals the reason she is searching for the Mystic MacGuffins in the first place, revealing her desire to be swept off her feet by Prince Charming to live the rest of her days in marital bliss. Now y'all can't tell me Toriyama Sensei wasn't some kind of evil genius, because as we know, far off into the future, Bulma does indeed find her Prince Charming in none other than all 4 foot 10 inches, that fine piece of manlet royalty Prince Vegeta. Now I know on a rational level it's likely just a really cool coincidence that the story thread dating all the way back to the first arc in Dragon Ball bears fruit in the later parts of Z, but I promise the more I examine Toriyama and his work, it feels like watching Light Yagami or Sosuke Aizen cooking up schemes on their ops, just layers upon layers of 4D chess being played that you don't even fully begin to appreciate till you're years removed and looking in retrospect. Oolong is immediately pissed, decidedly unhappy that he's been roped into this life-altering journey, only to find out the goal is to cuck himself in the end and watch Bulma get porked while he's stuck riding shotgun with Goku to live on Sex Offender Island. The fight is short-lived though when we're introduced to one of Emperor Pilaf's henchmen, Mai, who has eyes on the bozos and is ready to begin Operation Finesse the Balls the moment she gets the word. Man, Mai is a cool character who gets utterly ruined for me off of her characterization in Super. For those who don't know Ball, Mai, who is part of the Emperor Pilaf comedy relief team in Super, is a whole ass grown woman. We are talking older than Bulma when she's introduced to us in the beginning of Dragon Ball. Somewhere during the Android Saga, if I'm recalling correctly, Pilaf makes a wish to be younger, but it backfires and his whole crew are physically aged down. Only problem is, I'm pretty sure Mai is still a whole grown ass woman inside that body. So, as Dennis and Always Sunny might say, now we gotta deal with some implications.
Okay, that seems really dark.
No, it's not dark. You're misunderstanding me, bro. Because of the implication.
Because if Mai is indeed a completely grown-ass woman in a kid's body, and that absolutely sauceless pairing of Trunks and Mai is to be believed, Trunks, my guy, you are a victim. Guess we didn't get all the way off the cupcake train in Z either. Absolutely nasty work. Well, anyway, old Ghislaine Maxwell over here lets off an explosive that puts the crew whip out of commission. Shu, the trusty animal sidekick and low-key voice of reason out of Pilaf's crew, ganks the balls while Oolong and company are recovering from the ruckus and skedaddles.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
Goku scoots off to confront the robot, but Shu was long gone, and after a very disappointing scrap with the lifeless Shubot, Goku returns to the party to deliver the bad news that he came home ballless. Bulma immediately begins to take the black pill and is saved by the unexpected ingenuity of Goku, who held on to his grandpa's ball for safekeeping. Yamcha, seeing that somebody already beat him to the punch when it came to Operation Finesse the Dragon, decided that desperate times call for desperate measures, and he put on his big boy banana hammock to help the squad retrieve his balls, physically and metaphorically. Yamcha was beside himself the whole trip to Pilaf's castle, with his current stat spread being far too low to do anything about Bulma's advances other than pop a half chub and sweat. Pilaf and company began to celebrate their spoils, but the festivities were short-lived upon seeing that they were an orb short. Luckily for them though, the droids they were looking for found their way to them with no extra effort, and in an even better turn of events, somehow managed to track themselves without the Stooges having to do much of anything at all. Goku, John Arbuckle, and the rest tried their best to break out of Pilaf's Rubik's Cube of Doom, but to no avail, while Pilaf's crew watched from their Twitch feed, thinking on what would be the easiest way to pry the last ball out of the enemy's hands. I can't lie, the Pilaf's company's antics really used to drop my cactus watching the anime, as I found their humor never really landed for me. But I actually found myself having a lot more fun with the Pilaf homies in the manga. I can be a sucker for meta humor at times, and the crude dialogue coupled with the breaking of the fourth wall that happens in the written version actually redeemed the clown show for me in a few ways. For example, when they're watching from the monitor, Miss Maxwell mentions that she noticed a sack between the nappy boy's legs, and it looks like there may indeed contain a ball. Pilaf just kind of stares at her for a moment and tells her that Toriyama has been working his ass off to lose his reputation for pee-pee poo-poo humor like he had in the days of the slump era, and she's giving him a bad name. And then the next panel over, she's just holding a stick with poop on it, and they comment on how they're gonna get kicked out of Jump at this rate. And that's what I mean, homies, about Dragon Ball really having its own charm and tone. It's stuff like that you just won't see in the Dragon Ball Z era when the stakes are so high and everything has become so serious. So if there's some flowers I can give to Super, it would be that I respect how it did a lot to mix the melodrama of Z with the outrageousness of early Dragon Ball. Back to our regularly scheduled programming though, Pilaf appears on screen and decides to take the diplomatic approach initially, telling the crew to give them the damn Dragon Ball and this whole thing can go quick and easy. Y'all can imagine how that went over with Bulma especially, so Pilaf ups the stakes and tells Bulma that if she won't listen, then he'll be forced to do something nice and perverted to make her talk. That statement I made about 90% of the roster being unsalvageable ain't looking like a highball anymore, huh? And the whole affair only proceeds to get more foul when Pilaf extends his Go-Go Gadget arm and yokes Bulma into the Bible Black continuity. As she enters Pilaf's lair, a sense of dread comes over her after he asks her one more time that she's sure she isn't willing to give up the balls. Bulma, being too stubborn for her own good, flips him the bird and tells him to do his worst. Pilaf lowers his head and all Bulma can do is cower when he looks her in the eye and tells her that he guesses he has no choice as his mouth begins to salivate upon thinking of the horrors he will inflict upon her in mere moments. As Yamcha and Goku look upon the screen terrified, and Oolong observes with a strange look and a hand firmly planted in his pocket preparing to do unspeakable things, the moment comes. Pilaf raises his hands to his lips and blows Bulma the wettest kiss she's ever seen in her life. Shu and Mai can't even look in his general direction with what Pilaf having done being so dirty, but Pilaf couldn't believe his eyes. Bulma, that beast of a woman, seemed completely unfazed by his perverse, uncultured display of lustful affection. Yamcha almost seemed impressed, thinking of how he would have literally broken his own neck if he was placed in a similar situation with a young woman. And the surprises continued as Bulma spoke up following Pilaf's attack, with her words reflecting her nonchalant attitude about the whole affair, telling Pilaf she was absolutely sure he was going to pull off her top till she couldn't breathe and passed out. Pilaf couldn't even believe the young lady let those words leave her mouth. Realizing he was far outclassed in the ways of love and needing a stiff cigarette in a moment to clear his head, he sent Bulma back to the coal mines with the rest of the crew and decided he would just knock him out with sleeping gas and steal the balls to get the show on the road. There was no point in chancing it with weirdos like what they were dealing with right now. And as the plan was set into motion, they knocked Bulma and company out with sleeping gas, and after a quick examination of the monkey boy's backside, found his balls and left the crew slumped, in a manner of speaking, while they made off with the last treasure and prepared to summon the dragon. The concoction wears off, and upon awakening, Goku immediately realizes that he's a ball short. Getting desperate because they know the window to getting their wish is quickly slipping away, Yamcha tells Goku to go for a Hail Mary and try that attack he learned from Roshi to see what kind of damage he can do. Confused as to how Yamcha even knows about that, but realizing they're running short on time, Goku assumes the position and shoots a beam directly at the wall. While it had nowhere near the destructive force of the Hermit's signature attack, it was enough to blow a small hole in the wall and give the team a window to the outside. Enough of a window for Par and Oolong to transform into bats and see the arisen Shenron being summoned from his slumber. It looked like Pilaf's plan was a success and their chance to run interference may have already run out. Pilaf makes his move. He calls upon the Eternal Dragon, collecting all 7 of the orbs for the ritual. The Dragon Balls emit a radiant glow and a light shoots into the sky as Shenron manifests in the air, leaving all who see him in awe. Pilaf had won and his plans to take over the world was just a single sentence away. Yamcha and Bulma observed from the peephole in their tiny cell, devastated that their journey that had brought them so far was to end in failure at the tail end. A terrified Par and Oolong, upon seeing Shenron take his place in the air, decided that maybe the best thing they could do was to run to safety, as there was no telling what that massive iguana was capable of. In an uncharacteristic moment of clarity and boldness, though, Oolong thought to himself that with the dragon summoned, all he had to do was be faster and louder than Pilaf in making his wish, and the situation may yet be salvageable. So with all the bravery his little pig bat heart could muster, right as Pilaf was preparing to take what was rightfully his, Oolong shouted to the heavens his heart's greatest desire in hopes of blocking the tyranny of the evil emperor. His request? A pair of stank-ass women's panties, and may God have mercy on his soul. But as incredulous of the request as all in attendance were, including the dragon itself, down from the heavens and directly on Oolong's snot box fell a pair of immaculately soft women's underoos. He had done it. Then in a flash, Shenron disappeared as quickly as he came, and the Dragon Balls began to glow, levitating into the air and shooting off in every direction, scattered once again into the winds and the far reaches of the earth. Oolong had done it. His perverse instinct saved the world from a period of utter domination by the would-be universe emperor Pilaf. As you may imagine though, Pilaf was more than a little crushed having his dreams thwarted after seeing them come so close to fruition, so he decided that he would take his frustrations out on the Dragon crew, leaving them to stew in that steel chamber. Once the sun came up, they would be cooked faster than Darvin Ham coaching a winning team.
Go hard on them dudes.
And so the waiting game proceeded. Goku and Yamcha, even with all their strength, were no match for the steel cage Pilaf now had them in. And even worse was Goku started bugging, telling them all to be wary of the moon or else that the monster that ruins families will come and crush any hopes they have of a happy future. Curious at the oddly specific tragedy Goku began talking about, they couldn't help but want to learn more and asked him to elaborate. Goku assured them that everything he was telling them was all rap, no cap. Right before bed one night when he was finished lying on his grandpa's nut pillow, Gohan urged him to go straight to bed because it was a full moon out, and if you look up at the sky during one of those moons, the home-wrecking Wolfman would come and body your house. Goku revealed that he tried to be a good boy, but when he was in the middle of brushing his teeth, he accidentally looked up. Didn't remember much more after that. Then when he awoke in the morning, he found Grandpa Gohan's body crushed by the evil monster, and from that day forward, he followed his warnings about the moon. Brian Yamcha and company's reaction to this reveal was spot on, because deep in their heart they knew something was off with this kid, and this finally solidified it. Bulma, in all her wisdom, commanded Goku, "Hey kid, whatever you do, make sure you don't look exactly where my finger is pointing at that delicious full moon." And of course, being threatened with a good time, Goku had to take a quick glance. To everyone's surprise though, the kid seemed fine. That wasn't until the moon juices started kicking in like a delayed response edible, and the next thing they know, Goku's busting out his clothes faster than Diddy near an elementary school playground, his body's enshrouded in hair and expands at least 30 to 40 times its normal size. Powering straight through the top of the tin roof. On the one hand, Team Dragon finally found their way out of the hotbox. Only problem now was not losing all their one-ups while Donkey Kong was going on his rampage. Goku had seemingly lost the little marbles he had while transformed, completely wrecking Pilaf's castle indiscriminately and destroying all around in a reckless rage. Pilaf's crew attempted to escape by plane but got knocked out of the sky by a gigantic hairy fist, taking their day from bad to worse. As the Dragon Squad attempted to escape, Bulma got stuck under a large piece of debris, and it appeared as though Goku may once again end up tragically taking the life of someone he cares about completely unknowingly. But Yamcha, using his intimate knowledge of Goku's anatomy, bear hugged his tail to paralyze the brute, and then had Puar turn into a gigantic pair of scissors, cutting off Goku's downstairs dangalang and reverting him back to the adorable bite-sized package. The squad had survived. Deciding to rest till morning to let Goku recover, the young monkey fellow woke up, Wang floating in the breeze, asking everybody why the hell he was naked. They decided not to impart the secret of his genetics onto him, knowing it would crush him after he realized he was responsible for his grandpa Gohan's death. Though Oolong was 100% sure that Goku was some kind of alien at this point rather than human. Looks like I gotta ring another one up for the Toriyama prophecy counter. They tell Goku there was an accident last night, and in the commotion, his tail was lost. After a momentary bout of shock, Goku takes the news exceedingly well for someone who just lost a part of their anatomy they've been carrying since birth. Goku searches the wreckage at the castle for his power pole, while Bulma and Yamcha lament the fact that they'll forever be stuck in no romance Gen Z purgatory. That is, until they finally get a good look at one another, and Yamcha, realizing that he somehow managed to get over his fear of cooties while running for his life, slowly begins to cook up some designs for the blue-haired lady in front of him. Goku returns to see Oolong sick to his stomach, while Bulma and Yamcha are hitting the gritty together, way more excited about life for some reason than he's ever seen them before. Now the journey for the balls was done, Bulma asked Goku if he wants to come back to the city with her and Yamcha. With his nappy hair and adorable gut, he'll be a hit with all the cuties in town. Goku has other plans though, stating his desire to shack up with Muten Roshi for a while to work on his martial arts. Because if there's someone that can come in and rough up that castle that easy, and he couldn't even blow a hole through a measly wall, he's got some work to do. Oolong asks about the status of the hoes back in the big city, and Bulma assures him that his pork rinds will be staying just as dry as they were in the country, but he decides to come along anyway because what he's got better to do. Goku suggests meeting up in a year from now to go on another scavenger hunt, but Bulma informs him that they likely would not be necessary for them now, but she would like to give Goku a parting gift, entrusting the Dragon Radar to him, so when the time comes, he can track down his grandpa Gohan's ball again. And just like that, homies, the first arc of Dragon Ball comes to an end, with the Dragon Squad going their separate ways, each on a new adventure and renewed strength in their hearts. Tune in next time, homies, as Goku lands on Roshi's Island. What lies in store for Goku in his training with the Turtle Hermit, and what new acquaintances wait him upon his arrival as well. Only one way to find out. Be easy, y'all, and catch you again in the next season of Dragon Ball.